So really, what is generative design? If you're not familiar with it, it uses the biometric algorithms derived from nature to create design iterations. So Autodesk had taken algorithms directly from nature, so they've reverse engineered algorithms from nature, and it's used to create those designs directly for you in software and using artificial intelligence and the actual software for that, cloud computing. So when we think about generative design out in nature right now, currently, we're thinking about, hey, this is a dragonfly wing. If you think about the structure of a dragonfly wing, what does it look like deep down? How is it built? Also, our bone structure, how is that really defined and built by nature? It really is, it creates and constructs the design for structure depending on where it's actually needed. What is it used for? What does it need to be made out of? Where does it need to be structurally held and strengthened at? So that's where it's using those algorithms to create that. It's really the artificial intelligence that's doing this. It's actually a design exploration through creating designs. So we have multiple outcomes for exploring those designs. So we're giving it we're giving it some objectives, just like how nature has an objective to build something. We're giving the software objectives to build something, and it's coming out with the outcomes, the solutions for us. So we're exploring all those designs that come out, whether we need, and it's going to give us all those outcomes. And depending on whether we need to maximize the strength or create it out of a certain material, we can explore those different outcomes. And that technology is now available in Fusion. It's been available for you for multiple years now. So with our traditional development processes, we've got a design that we usually have someone manually creating a bunch of different concepts. Okay. With those different concepts, we take a look at those and we explore those and say, okay, is it good for manufacturability? We evaluate those for costs. We evaluate those for strength or the material, whether it can even be done. And then we pick and choose one product or one outcome and then produce that. And usually we come up with just a design that's pretty it's more like what I would call this like legacy designs, like what a human would think about our shapes, our blocks or thicknesses, what we think that we could design. But with generative design, what we're doing is we're taking this, throwing our objectives inside of the software, and it's coming out with a lot of different outcomes in this, and it's optimizing each outcome that it produces depending on the material that we give it, the manufacturing process we give it. And then we can actually pick and choose instead of doing this all manually and thinking about it with our human limitations. We can actually use the software to do this, and it will spit out the optimized version of this, and then we can pick and choose which one we want to produce. So really, we have problems, of course, with design. So the problem exists, and we can input our criteria with for the design. And then with the software, we can explore all those possible solutions. And when we think about the manufacturing methods that we are used to and we can actually solve for in generative design, well, we've got additive manufacturing, die casting, 3 and 5 axis milling, 2.5 axis milling, and 2 axis cutting. We can actually optimize those for each different outcome inside of generative design. And here's a quick video on what they've done with that bracket that I've shown the previous slide for the motorcycle here. I'm just going to play this quick, and I'll talk through it as we go. So we've got an existing design that we've done with the human has created. And what we're doing here is that we are picking points, picking objects out of that human design. We create some new solids, some new components out of this. I shouldn't say new components, but the areas where we are actually attaching to the verticals or things that need to be bolted onto each other. We actually pick those and then we're going to pull those out of the existing design. So really, we could start with this shape, or we could take a legacy design and pull that information out. Or we could just, like I said, start with something like this, and then we can send that through generative design. So this is a nice little process here we're doing. So we're picking those, and we're saying that this is preserved geometry. Preserved geometry means that this is areas that need to be kept. This is geometry that needs to be kept for generative design to work off of. So of course, yeah, we need cylinder shapes to be able to hold on to tubes. We need things that for bolting connections. We need holes in there. So we need to keep those, and we define those by using that preserved geometry. Then we set some loads on that. So it's right now it's setting some conditions on there, some loads and constraints on there. So that's what they're doing here in the video. And then they're setting some objectives to this. So they set safety factors, displacements, things like that inside of this for the criteria of what we want to do. And then also the manufacturing methods, whether you want it to do it with additive or milling, what type of milling inside of here. Two-axis cutting they added too. And then what we do is we can generate that study and come back with outcomes that the software and AI has created back for us that maximizes it and optimizes it depending on the manufacturing methods and the materials that we actually add inside of the software. Play this a little bit more. And then after that, once we pick one that we would like, an outcome we would like, we can actually look and see where the stresses are. We can actually export this out and we can modify the design if we think it needs to be a little bit optimized. We can also then export this out and then export it out to like a manufacturing workspace and then actually manufacture that with our CAM tools inside of Fusion directly. Okay. So that same bracket that they've shown there on the motorcycle. So with the human design, right there in the center, bottom center, we're looking at a weight of 3 kilograms with a safety factor of 2.7, but the cost is about $160. Throwing it through generative design with different studies and different materials and different manufacturing methods. On the left-hand side, we get the 3-axis milling there. And it's a weight of 2.3 kilograms, which is a less weight. So that's a savings of about 23% on weight. A little bit lower safety factor, but it might still fit within the criteria. And our cost is lower as well. We also have the 2.5 axis generative, which is in the middle of the top. Also 23% savings. Safety factors quite a little bit lower there at 2.2, and then our cost is actually $130 only. And then on the right hand side we've got additive, and additive of course is going to cost a lot more, but our weight goes down a lot more too, because we're actually constructing the product, or we're printing it out instead of pulling material away. We're actually printing it out exactly how the design should be, and it optimizes for additive right at that point too. So some of the problems that generative design solves, and some examples of this is with Hyundai Motors. They've done a mobility vehicle, and they've created some of the structure for the vehicle here with generative design. So some of the frame structure and some of the structure for like the wheel, like around the wheels here, and the components inside of there. So for new product design, so you can use that for that. So also for part consolidation. So General Motors actually taken on the left-hand side here, there's a screenshot of an assembly that had 8 different components in it. And what they've done is they've taken the preserved geometry of the areas where it's being bolted or where it needs to connect, taken that, and then they've used generative design to make it one component instead. And what that will do is it will not only cut down on tolerances, because you're not putting pieces together, so it's just one component now, but they've made it 40% lighter and also 20% stronger with just one component instead of the 8. And then also with Honda there, they've actually redesigned a crankshaft with generative design, where they've where this has output a design that's 50% weight reduction on this using the additive manufacturing method. Um, so thinking of something like race cars, or even for something like aerospace, when weight really matters, that's where generative design would also come into play.